How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And before we get started, I want to let you guys know about the private group. Whether you're an investor or you're a trader and you're looking to build wealth inside the stock market, then this group is for you. If you are interested, you can find the link down inside the description. We'll be happy to have you a part of the family. So today what we're going to be talking about is Wish stock, ContextLogic. I know there's a lot of volatility inside of the market today, so it's time for a much needed update. So let's jump into the agenda. So the first thing we're going to be going over, of course, is the technical analysis, taking a look at the overall price action. I do see here, as far as this dip is concerned, it does provide opportunities, whether you're looking at it from the short term or maybe you might be looking at it from the long term. And then afterwards, we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know, what are the inflows and what are the outflows? We want to know, have institutions been loading up on Wish stock? Well, we're going to be figuring that out because that will have an impact on the price action as we see, especially as we get closer to the end of the week. And then when all of that is done, I'll be giving you guys my final thoughts and giving you strategies and also things to think about, whether you're trying to get in short term or get into the long term in regards to Wish stock. So let's get into it. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for Wish. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $10.95, being down 7.91%. On the low, it tested $10.75, and then on the high, testing $11.91. And as we take a look at what's going down in after hours, this is on the Webull app, I see a price of $11.02 at the time of 5:30 p.m. So we're seeing a little bit of momentum. But for the most part, let's get into the chart because I know many of you have questions, so we're going to get into it. So as far as for support for Wish, one thing that was proven today was seeing that it was able to bounce off $10.75. We could see this was an area of support in the past. But tomorrow, if the markets continue to be choppy when it comes to growth stocks and so on, what's another area where Wish could actually pull back to? So I'll be looking out over here right around 1050. So you can see at this 1050 level, it does show we have an area of support. And if it does decide to pull back even further than that, then I'll be looking out here for around 1034. Will it pull back past 1034? I'm not seeing it, but hey, just in case I am wrong here, then the next level that we want to keep an eye on would be here right around 1022. Not too big of a difference in those particular areas, but of course we'll be seeing the 1050 before we see these areas. So knowing that we bounced off 1075 fairly well, and then also getting into the areas where, you know what, we were at 1191 and we had a choppy market, we had a sell-off. So what I want to see for Wish to start looking bullish again, it needs to get back and show strength right above the $11.50 level. I feel like if it comes back to this level, it's going to gather a lot of attention and we can make that strong move and make that push going back to 12. And we already know at 12, we have areas of support here. So you already know many people are going to continue to buy after seeing it recover and then potentially making that move to 1250. But the only way that this is going to happen, there's a lot of buying volume and there's a lot less selling pressure. And the thing is, considering the markets that we're in, that could be very difficult to do because a lot of people are taking profits. They're not spending a lot of time inside of positions. So that's why I was saying, if you want to get into a position, make sure you have a strategy, make sure you have a game plan. If I was going to go in this thing as far as for a short-term play, I'll be setting up, I'll probably go in at 1050 if it hits my 1050 and try to play a fluctuation going to, let's say, like $11 or something like that. Aside from that, as far as for a stop loss, since this would be a short-term move, I'll be looking at it like, you know what, I'll probably set it up around that 1025 area. So it's going to be very, very tight. But like I said, I'll be looking for that bounce from 1050 going into the 11s and then seeing how much momentum it can gather from there. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Wish stock. So we can see here on the inflow, we had 207, and then on the outflow we had 230, and of course this is in million USDs. So what was it looking like? So on the large we had 1, on the medium we had 118, and then on the small we had 88. As far as for the large on the outflow side, we had 2, and on the medium we had 146, and on the small we had 82. So of course outflow ended up beating inflow today. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, we've already looked at the previous days, but what it was for today, it was at 767.14. 4. So it was a big time outflow day for Wish. So one of the things I want you guys to understand, of course, we ended up seeing a lot of selling pressure. There was a lot of volatility inside of the market. So this lines up very well from going over this data. So what are we looking forward to going into tomorrow? Can Wish end up having an inflow day? We'll have to wait and see. But if we continue to have these choppy markets where there's a lot of sell-offs going on with growth stocks and as well as penny stocks while mega caps continue to run, then I want you to be aware and know the trend that is happening in front of you. And of course, well, you know what, before I get into the next thing, let's save that for the final thought. So let's jump to it right now. So for my final thoughts for Wish stock, we could definitely see that the market's choppiness was not friendly to Wish today, and just like many other growth stocks within the sector as well. But one thing I want to go over, you need to know what your strategy is, whether you're in this play for the short term or you're in this play for the long term. So for anyone who's in this play for the short term, I was talking about it in the technical analysis. If I was going to be going into a position and wanting to trade off the fluctuations, I would be aware of those areas of support. Like we covered, I was saying, hey, I'd make sure I'd have my stop around 10.25. I'll be looking to enter in around $10.50, and I'll be looking forward to seeing that pop going to 11 and then seeing what it gives me. This is the particular strategy that I would take. Of course, I am not recommending it, and this is not financial advice. And the reason why I'm talking about using a stop loss, if it does decide to pull back even further, I do minimize my downside risk. But when I look at my upside potential, it's definitely there, especially if Wish, when it goes to 11, it starts gaining more momentum, and especially if we see the market actually starting to rotate back into growth stocks and penny stocks and so forth. So for the people that have a long-term outlook when it comes to Wish stock, there's a lot to look forward to here. The matter of the fact is it is pulling back. And if you do believe in the long-term potential, you already know you want to buy on the days when the stock is dipping or just going through a correction or just having a sell-off. Because the key is you want to buy low and sell high. And what I'm going to go over right now is to give you a reminder. So what we know, taking into consideration what analysts are saying, here's what it tells us. It says as far as for the analyst price targets, we have the average price being at $18, and as far as for the high being at $24. This is based on 11 analysts, and we have 45% that call it a buy and also 27% that call it a strong buy, while 27% call it a hold. So taking this into consideration, if you have high conviction when it comes to Wish stock and you know they have the capabilities as far as meeting those goals in regards to their earnings report and making sure they're bringing in enough revenues to run a sustainable business, then an opportunity is definitely presented, especially if it's pulling back. And of course, if you have that overview and you have that outlook, these dips should not bother you whatsoever, because this is an opportunity for you to average down or maybe just make sure that you're maximizing even more profits because you're buying the stock on the low. Another thing to go over very quickly, when I took a look at the short interest information on Fintel, it was around just over 14%. So we've seen in the past it was a lot higher than this. So what does this mean? We don't have as much shorts who are vested in this play because they don't see as much more downside movement in Wish stock. Considering it is trading around that 1075, it hit that on the low today and it ended up showing some support there. Shorts are probably saying, well, you know what, when it was at 15 or at 14, it was a lot better to short than it is to be shorting at around this $10 to $11 area. So even if the price does decide to pull back, I could see that short interest getting even lower. So that is something I want you guys to be aware of. Hope you found this video helpful, and we'll be talking real soon.